Alright everybody, how you getting on? Alright, I hope. They say never meet your heroes. I don't know, it's one of them, isn't it? The reason I'm talking about meeting your heroes is we've got Oricon at Sheffield at minute, and if you've never been, it's a good do. So I'm going to talk about it and my experiences when I went to Oricon a few years ago. Well, about 5 or 6 ages ago. Forget that. It were ages ago since I've been. When I went, it were a really good time to go because I'd always wanted to meet or have a chat with Gunnar Hansen, who played Leatherface in original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And there were him there, and there were Tom Savini, Ken Furry from Dawn of the Dead, Ken Furry, and Tom Savini, obviously a master in special effects, practical special effects back in the day, in the late 70s, early 80s. And I'm thinking, oh, don't be nervous, I hope you set right thing, and you know, a big moment like, innit, meeting somebody who you've always wanted to sort of have a chat to and find out more about film if you can. And you're thinking, I hope I say it right. They're not really bothered about, you know, what you say. I just enjoy the experience, or I suppose that's my tip really, just go here and enjoy the experience. But should you really meet people, they say never meet your heroes, don't they? Well, I can tell you now, Gunnar Hansen were absolutely fantastic. He's such a lovely bloke, or was, because he passed soon after. And it were evident when I approached the table, a giant of a man, so kind, and had time to speak to all his fans. And he got up out of his chair and he looked a little poorly. I thought, oh, I hope he's all right. And he come over and he said, now then, young man. I mean, I'm not a young man, I weren't then. Can I come round the table so that you don't have to, I know you've waited a long time, let me come round and shake your hand. I thought, brilliant bloke. Absolutely. I'd all timing well for him, and he had time for us. It were a fantastic meet and greet, and I got my signature. I got his signature, sorry. And I was buzzing. Absolutely buzzing. It took me back to when I first rented Texas Chainsaw Massacre from video shop in Mexborough. Yeah, I went with one of my mates and he went first. No, sorry, I was first in line for Tom Savini and my mate were a few rows back. He was waiting behind me, quite a few rows behind me. So again, I'm a bit nervous. I goes up, ready to meet Tom Savini. For me, the guy that created Jason Voorhees and all that sort of beautiful work he's done over years, including his return to Friday the 13th final chapter and the makeup he used on that. Iconic, you know what I mean? Legend. And then you've got Dusk Till Dawn, with his cameo, is it Sex Machine in that? And then you've got all sorts of stuff like Maniac, the effects he did on that back in the 80s. The Burning, unbelievable work, pioneering. You know, all practical effects back then, weren't it? And I'm there and I'm getting a bit nervous, like, Jesus, he's a big name, this guy. Tom Savini, he's come to Sheffield. He's come to South Yorkshire to see us. Whew, I'm there, I was shitting myself. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I want to be, you know, positive and thank him for his work. Even though, obviously, you have to pay for a signature. So I goes up to him and it all just come out in a bloody blur, like it chuffing would. Hey, Tom, oh, lovely to see you. Oh, thanks for coming to South Yorkshire. Oh, I've been a fan for some. No word of a lie. I thought, what's he doing? He was waiting for money before he even said out. And I promise you now, I put my £20 in his hand and he just folded it up and put it in his pocket, pointed to a piece of paper. I said, yeah, that one please. He signed it, he never said a word. Not one word. And the look was pure disgust on his face, like, oh, another one I've got to do. So it couldn't have gone worse, really, because I just thought, why have you got to be an arsehole? There's folks coming here that's always loved your work. Why be what's it costing him to just put a smile on? But then this is the thing. This is what I wanted to get into and talk about. You're paying to meet him. You're not bumping into him in the street. It's not like you're out in public and you've seen him and he's got 5 minutes to chat to you. No, it's not like a chance meeting. It's more like he's been pimped out, isn't it, in his defence. Then again, so were others and they were fine. So I'm not sure how I feel about it still. I'm still mixed. I do know he's a knobhead. I do know that because I've looked online and he's been awful with other people. He's still done all these films and all these effects. You can't take that away from him. But as a personality, nah. Funny thing were, I turned round and my mate, who were a little bit behind me, like I said, I'd met Tom and I come back and he was kind of, Mick, if you're watching, I know he watches channel, I'll always remember the face, he turned around and he went, you've met Tom, is he good, is he sound like? Oh, I can't wait. I went, he's a knobhead. And I just carried on walking. And Mick was like, hey, what do you mean? What, hey, hang on a minute. And then Mick went 2 rows up, and it was his turn. Jesus Christ. So Mick, and he'll verify this if I can get him on camera, he had a vintage quad Dawn of the Dead poster from cinema back in the day. And it worth quite a bit of money. And he sort of folded it out on the table. I couldn't see this. This is what he told me after. He's folded it out on the table and made it flat and said, can you sign here? And he's gone and he's put his signature on. Again, no emotion on his face, just held hand out for cash. There's no need, is there? Bless him, Mick then went to meet Ken Faree. And he was first to meet Ken Faree, Dawn of the Dead. So there's a bit of a link in there with Tom Savini doing effects in Dawn of the Dead. And actually cameoing in Dawn of the Dead, and then meeting Ken Faree. So this is brilliant, this, I've got to tell you this, hang on. So he says to me, I gets up there to Ken, like he knows him, and I puts my poster out and you can see Savini's signature there. And I says, anywhere here, Ken, please. He says, do you know what he did? I says, no, mate. He says, oh, he signed it, mate. Oh, I signed it. Ken Faree looked absolutely fantastic. He says, then he moved his hand and smudged, Jesus. So he's paid to meet these people. One of them were a twat. Ken Faree, by the way, were absolutely lovely. And he was fantastic when I met him as well. He was really nice, very gentle. But another one, Tom Savini, sort of jinxed it, didn't he? He jinxed his poster. So when Ken signed it, he smudged it. Mick was pissed off because this poster's worth a lot of money. So that's a weird thing, isn't it? You're meeting the people that you're paying to meet for them to sign something, and I guess you're wanting that validation and you're wanting their signature on that artwork, and it's like a historical piece. But it got smudged, so he weren't best pleased. Although I would still say, if you've got a chance to go to Oricon, there's one on, like I say, it's this weekend, so by the time this video goes out, it'll have been and gone. But they're all right. You get to see a few people, and it's about 30 quid to get in. And then, like I say, depending on how high up the celebrities are or how their management team foresee them to be, because I guess there's a lot of stuff, politics behind the scene, you'll pay either 15, 20, or sometimes like a lot more to get a signature of somebody. But in my own experience, there's nothing comes closer to actually bumping into somebody. That's completely different. Who have I met in the past? Oh, not to do with horror. We were in London for his wedding anniversary about 20 odd years ago, if not more. me and my good lady wife Sharon, and we were rushing about trying to sort of decide what to buy to fetch home, and it were a bus trip, and we were due back at hotel for his tea. And at the very last minute we went in a shop called Burberry, is it? Like a designer thing. And my wife wanted a Burberry head slide. Oh, I think it was about 50 quid even back then. So I said, yeah, we can have it, yeah, like, treat us then. So we goes and queues up, and in front at Burberry shop, it was just shutting. Shutters were halfway down. And she nudges me, and I says, what's up, Shaz? She says, it's Rennie Zellweger. I says, oh, it looks like her. She went, no, it's her. And I went, what? So it's one of them where you're like, somebody really famous. Bridget Jones were massive back then. Still is, isn't it? And I'm like, what do I do here? And I just struck up a conversation, and it probably looked a right twat, but it went something like, you all right, Rennie? She's like, hey, you all right? It's good to meet you guys. I can't do her accent, but it were like generic, you know, like it were all right. It were like natural. And I thought to myself, I'm not gonna, well, in the moment, I wore like starstruck proper. And I thought, I don't want to ruin this by saying, oh, by the way, have you got a pen? Can you just sign this? And can you just put to... Now, we just had a conversation, and that were better. It felt more like I'd actually, like, genuinely met somebody. And she just says, why are you guys here? And we said, oh, it's his wedding anniversary, Rennie. And she was like, oh, that's so sweet. And it was December, and it was snowy. And she goes, I love this time of year. It's so nice. Oh, it's so romantic that you guys are on your anniversary and you're celebrating it here in the city. And I don't get to come to London that often. Again, I can't do her accent. We had some small talk, which were absolutely... it felt really genuine, and she were absolutely lovely. And it was that moment that I thought, well, I've not ruined it because I hadn't asked her for out. Do you know what I mean? So I'm happy that we had that interaction, and I think she's probably the most famous person I bumped into, like in the street or in town, let's say, well, London. Yeah, so that was good, and that felt nice. And I didn't think after, shit, I ain't got her autograph, because it were natural. Like I said, that felt natural. So I think what I'm trying to say is, you can go and meet people these days. You can probably meet who you want, and you'll pay for it, and you'll go into these queues. And the people that I met at Oricon then many years ago were really nice, apart from one person. Like I say, I'll never forget meeting Gunnar Hansen, because Texas Chainsaw Massacre is such a big film to me. It was one of the first video nasties I were able to rent. Yeah, so it's got a lot to me, a lot of memories. Is Texas Chainsaw. By the way, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's another film that's timeless if you've never seen it. It's the atmosphere in that film is unbelievable, and the soundtrack has just come back out. It's been found, and the history about the soundtrack is they weren't really a soundtrack per se in any sort of order, but they managed to get what they had and put it out on vinyl now. So yeah, I've still got to get that because it's such a soundtrack. I mean, the atmosphere on that one, wow, and the noises and the soundtrack, second to me only to Zombie Flesh Eaters, which is my favourite horror film, and definitely my favourite soundtrack to an horror film ever. It's incredible. Fabio Frizzi, the work that he's done. I'd love to meet Fabio Frizzi, but I'd like to see one of his concerts, and that'd be icing on cake if I could then get to see him at his concert. I'd do. Yeah. So I suppose, I don't know how you feel about it. Put in comments if you want to interact. Do you think it's all right paying to sort of meet your heroes? How do you feel about it? Do you think it's a bit forced? they're making a fortune out of it, aren't they, most of the time? Because they'll get paid to go to an event, I think, and then they'll get a commission, maybe. I don't know. That's a thought. Maybe Tom Savini got ripped off before he got there and he was pissed off. But it's no excuse though, is it? If you're pissed off, to take it out on your fans and be a knobhead. Now, I don't think it is. Yeah, it got me thinking on the way home from work about Oricon and conventions. For me, I absolutely loved just going through stalls because it's everything there that you probably can't get most of it online, or you could at one point, and then there's like unique stuff like artwork, like I said. So the pluses for a convention, I suppose it goes for any convention. The pluses are you get to speak and talk to like-minded people. The fans make it, really. You're probably going to get to meet people if you pay. Depends how much you want it. But like I said, if you go to something like Horicon, obviously the theme that the genre is created is just basically all over the place. You'll see people dressed up, people taking part, like fans at films dressing as Jason and stuff like that, and Freddy and all sorts. And some of them are professional, like the proper, they call it cosplay, I think now. But some of them they look fantastic, so fair play to them. But yeah, if you're thinking of going, I'd probably say go. Deep pocket, take plenty of cash. Don't be forced into thinking you've got to meet people. Oh, I met this person, I've met that person. You haven't really, have you? You've joined a queue. And I've done it myself, so it might be a bit hypocritical. But you've joined a queue and you've held your money out, really, all said and done. And as much as I loved meeting Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget it. As much as I absolutely loved that, and what pleasure that gave me, and will forever. I equally cherish when we bumped into Renée Zellweger, and she was so nice, and just down to earth. And when we got back to the hotel that night, and this is no word of a lie, you can ask Shaz if she ever comes on camera, we clicked telly on in the hotel room, and she was going down red carpet, and I think it was that musical she did. I can't remember what it were now, but she did a musical film on it first ones. So it was that. Yeah. I've also wanted to get out tonight to test this new camera I've got. So I'll be messing about with it probably to try and get it right, but it's its first run out I've had. And it's a lot easier than either trying to hold a phone and a gimbal, or I had a Sony camera as well that was quite heavy and a bit cumbersome and too much going off on it. So this kind of replaces that. And this is Osmo Pocket 5 Pro that I'm going to keep using because it's quite handy, and it's an action camera. Like, I ain't going to be getting up to much action, I can tell you. But having said that, because it's light and robust, if I drop it, it's not as bad. Aye. So yeah, it's been a decent week. I just want to say as well, thanks for everybody that's kind of watched me going on these walks. I will start mixing it up a bit, going to places, and I want to do a vlog where I'm in sort of an environment that kind of challenges me a little bit, probably with people, and interact a bit more, because I'm finding my feet still, and this will be my 5th video. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. So thanks to people that have clicked and watched it. I really appreciate that. Just as we carry on walking around this corner, thanks to everybody that's subscribed and that's interacted. And I just want to push that a little bit if I can. If you watch it and you watch one of my videos, just drop us a comment. It'd be fantastic just to hear from you. It means a lot to me. And also, it helps me challenge me my challenge is to sort of get me channel to a point where the algorithm puts it to people that are like-minded and sort of shares to the right people stuff that they might find helpful. So that's my first challenge. It's not all about getting monetized, because that, if you thought about that when you first started YouTube, you'd only last a week, I reckon. So it's not that for me. It's more about me learning, getting to grips with diarising things like this. And I've done it again, walked under this bleeding tree and it's pitch chuffing black. But also looking back on older videos and looking back on, like, if I do carry on, which I want to do, I really want to carry on and keep this going. Just looking back on content and having like a diary of stuff. Yeah. So, thank you very much for watching. This is my cue here for a little sit down. Ooh. Ooh. Thanks everybody. Cheers for watching. See you next time.